Up on the line coming in, we got Brandon. Brandon wants to talk about topic number 1. Brandon, hello. Are you here to debate?
Hello. Yes, sir. How are you doing today?
Chillin', Brandon. Can I get your age and pronouns, please?
I am 22, and I am a male, so I just go by he, him.
Okay. And Brandon, you wanted to debate topic number 1. Go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah, so I guess I kind of really wanted to call in just to take like a perspective or understand your perspective, I guess. I'm not really here to like bash or debate, but I'm just curious. I guess from my perspective, like I think that, you know, if you identify as a trans man or trans woman, that you are forever biologically, you know, you were born with a set of chromosomes and you're just, you know, you're either a man or a woman. Now you can, you know, societally, you know, they say, well, gender is a social construct, and that's the thing that many people don't understand. But, I mean, I think there has to be like a line with, you can choose to identify as something, but it not necessarily be rooted in truth, like based on
Okay, Brandon, what
biology.
Brandon, what does biology have to do with gender?
Well, gender and biology, I think they go hand in hand with each other.
Why do you think that?
Because in any like animal, any other animal on Earth, like, you know, it's either you typically female or a male.
No other animal has gender but us.
Okay, so
because you just did it again. You said
totally
gender. You said gender goes hand in hand with biology because animals have male and female. That is an incoherent answer if I've ever heard one.
I'm just curious. Like, what is gender to you?
Gender would be the socially and culturally constructed traits and attributes typically tied to any of the sexes.
Typically tied to any of the sexes.
Yes.
So
they are traits and attributes placed upon the sexes by society and culture.
Sorry, I'm not meaning to interrupt you. Okay, so if it's typically tied to the sexes, then I mean, I think that if you say the word gender is like 100% just a societal construct,
it is.
Then sure, I think I don't know.
Societal constructs can be tied to social constructs can be tied to biological things. That doesn't make them not social constructs.
Okay, I see your perspective on it. I just think that if we were to say that gender is 100% a social construct, you know,
it is.
Then it allows. I guess my issue is that like people on the LGBTQ, you know, like they're part of that community, and I have a feeling that like a majority of conservatives, or I guess, you know, right wingers will say, oh, you know, trans women, like there's hate. There's definitely some hate and fatigue, I suppose, but I have a feeling that it's more rooted. Like there's nothing wrong with people being homosexual or anything of that nature, but I guess it's the idea that we have to fully accept these people that have gender dysphoria or like some sort of mental illness, which I think is it's prominent. It exists.
Okay, I just need you, Brandon. I just need you to be able to substantiate some things. Now you're saying gender dysphoria is a mental illness and like being trans is a mental illness. Can you substantiate that in like any meaningful way?
Well, I mean, I think that, you know, when you think that you are something that you are not biologically, then that, you know, can be considered a mental illness.
Again, now we're back to the first question. Can you substantiate that gender is like a biological thing? So you're saying, so now in order to substantiate the next thing you said, you have to substantiate the first thing you said.
you're saying it's partly social construct, but you can't deny that it's not rooted in your sex, like in,
There
being a
is a
man
link.
or a woman.
There's a link to sex, but gender being the attributes and traits assigned to the sexes by any given society and culture would not be a biological thing. It would be the traits that are assigned. So it's social.
Okay, so when trans women
But
and women are
before we
men and
before we
women.
move on, Brandon, I'm just gonna say you're using a lot of I think statements, right? Can you use any
Yeah.
like this is statement or it is the case statement? Like, can you substantiate this anywhere past just I think it's this?
Probably not. I'm not gonna say like, I know everything or I'm very well informed on this topic. This is just kind of like stuff that I hear everywhere.
But then it
And
seems weird that you're willing
but-
to come and debate it, but you're not researched on it, you know?
Well, no. I said from the beginning, I kind of just wanted to have a conversation on your perspective on it. On this is what I think and what I kind of believe.
Sure.
But,
my perspective is very simple. It's the sociological, biological, and neurological and psychological consensus on all of these things. We have a part of our brain that gender identity exists in. Gender identity is something that's a constant in human brains. We know that gender identity is tied to the way that your brain interprets your sex in the context of whatever given society or culture you're in. We know that gender and sex are not the same thing. So this is all consensus on a scientific level. So like I'm just wondering, like, if you disagree with that, that's fine. I would just need you to have some, or even if you don't disagree, if you think otherwise, right? If you think, well, I don't think this is the case, if you're just basing that on like, I think it's this way because I think it's this way, I just think you don't really have a solid grounding for that belief system.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, no, you're right. Well, all right. Well, I guess I don't really have much else to say, but I want to thank you for allowing me to be on
Well,
the
so
call
Brandon,
and just hear your
hold on,
perspective.
wait, really quickly. So then, just
Yeah.
so that we're understanding each other, because I think there's a really good chance for growth here. If you agree that your belief system isn't really based on any scientific consensus, any fact based upon sociology, neurology, biology, all whatever you have would you agree that, or would you agree that you don't really have a reason to believe that, for instance, trans women are not women? You don't really have a reason to believe that.
Well, I guess maybe, but it's difficult for, I guess, me to say that trans women are women, not in an effort to, I guess, like hurt this marginalized group of people, but it's difficult to accept based on biology and I guess sex. I'm sorry, on the sex. That's the most difficult thing to understand, and I'm not sure. I mean,
well, but okay. So here's I understand you're saying it's difficult for you to accept based on the sex, but man and woman are not sex-related terms. They're gender terms. Sex terms, male and female, exist, and nobody's like arguing about that. But when it comes to gender, right? When it comes to those categories, you don't have a reason why trans women wouldn't fit into the category of woman, or trans men wouldn't fit into the category of men. So if you don't have a reason for believing that they don't fit into these categories, why not just accept that they are those things?
I don't know. I mean, I think like it feels wrong. It feels wrong in some aspects. I guess in regards to like sports or in bathrooms. Like, do you think that it's okay like for trans women to be in women's bathrooms or in,
Yeah, why wouldn't it be?
You would say yes.
Yeah, why wouldn't it be? If they are women, why would it be wrong for them to be in the women's bathroom?
Do you think that wouldn't undermine or make biological females uncomfortable in the bathroom?
It might make some of them uncomfortable, but so, right? Didn't it like
So?
Wait. Yes, the answer is so. Run a thought experiment with me real quick, Brandon. When we decided to desegregate bathrooms, right? Do you think there were a lot of white women that were uncomfortable that black women were now in their bathrooms?
I'd say probably yes.
Yeah, and what did we say? We said, "Oh well, suck it up." Right?
Is there any biological difference between a black female and a white female, aside from the melanin in their skin?
No, because race, like gender, is not a biological thing.
Okay, but there is a difference in the sexes of men and female. We can say that.
Sure. So you're saying bathrooms should be separated by sex, not by gender.
Yes.
Okay. So what happens when you have a trans man who looks exactly like me, who now has to go into the woman's bathroom? Do you think that's a better system?
That's a good argument. I think that it should be divided by sex.
We've never used sex as a bathroom. We have never, even if people are claiming we have never used sex as the bathroom guide, because we don't know somebody's sex when they go into a bathroom. We don't know what your sex actually is. I've never karyotyped someone before that. I don't pull someone's pants down. We just go based off what the person going into the bathroom believes about themselves. Otherwise, what are we going to do? If we're saying bathrooms must be split by sex, do we place bathroom security guards at the start of like the door for each bathroom? They have to do like genital checks. How do we in any practical way implement this into policy?
No, you can. There's no real good way to
also, what happens if we're saying bathrooms are sex? What happens if like I have a 3-year-old daughter, I have to take her to the bathroom? Which bathroom do I go into if there's no family bathroom available? If I take her into the woman's bathroom, I'm breaking the law. If I take her into the men's bathroom, she's breaking the law.
That is a fair point.
Yeah, it doesn't work. But again, this is all operating under the premise that like trans women are not women. You're sticking with this. Now, I think you can make some arguments in the sports category if you're like, hey, I think there should be some level of transitioning done before you're allowed to compete at specific levels. I don't really care one way or another about sports. I want to see whoever's the top competitor versus the top competitor. I don't care who those are. Like, I don't care if those are men. I don't care if there's women. I don't really care. But like, again, you're coming at it from a place where you don't really have a reason to believe that trans women aren't women. You've just been told for a long time that they're not. So you're buried deep into this feeling without like understanding any level of bias that you might have in the conversation.
Yeah, I gotta look into this a bit more, I guess, but I guess for now I can just I just don't agree with it, I guess it's the way that.
But Brandon, so here's my issue. I don't like agree to disagree, right? It seems lazy in a conversation when we go, well, let's just agree to disagree. You're saying I don't agree, but you don't have any arguments for why you don't agree. It's just, I don't agree because I don't agree. That just seems like poor reasoning, in my opinion.
Well, I guess in my personal experiences with trans people, it's always been I wouldn't let this person. I don't think I would be just comfortable. For example, either trans woman or trans man. I wouldn't be comfortable with this person, either doing the sports or in the bathrooms. All these things that we bring up when it comes to viewing trans people. What is it okay for them to do? I don't know. I just don't agree.
Why are you?
I don't know. It makes you a little bit uncomfortable. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, but see, wait. But this is what's happening. This is what's happening. Hold on, Brandon. This is what's happening. Back in the 80s and 90s, people used to hate gay people, and when you would ask them why, primary answer they would give is it's gross. We don't treat people that way just because you might think something's quote unquote yucky, right? Without a solid grounding of reasoning why, you're just admitting that you are using the way you feel over any sort of facts, over any sort of logic. You would prefer to stay in the I feel camp, which I guess is fine if you're admitting that you do a feelings over facts mindset. But I feel like you would, as a person, and maybe I'm wrong on this, Brandon, but correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like you as a person probably don't want to live in a world in which you operate under a feelings over facts mindset.
That would be ideal. And
So
just put this out there. I don't hate or dislike, like, I don't hate or think that any people of the LGBTQ, like, are undeserving of love. Like, every person deserves love and respect, regardless of their gender identity, regardless of their sexuality. It's like, we need, like, treating people with these, like, basic respect is true. I believe that. It becomes a little bit difficult when we get into these, complex social questions about, should we allow these people in our bathrooms or playing our sports? It gets difficult because I don't want to, exclude these people. Like you said, for example, if someone looks like you and was a trans person, to allow them into the bathroom, like normal people, like the people, I guess it's the people that can, that have ill intentions, I suppose, or I don't know.
Brandon, when it comes to trans people and it comes to bathrooms, trans people aren't the ones doing any sort of wrong. They go in the bathroom to pee. Like, there's no evidence of any statistically significant kind that shows that trans people, and I assume you mean trans women, not trans men, because it's all you seem to be talking about, but there's no statistically significant evidence to show us that trans women are a threat in bathrooms.
Okay, well, there's not any evidence for that then. But I guess I suppose I may stand corrected.
But this is what I'm saying.
But
you are engaging in a very clear-cut level of bias here that I'm trying to see if we can't undercut. If it's not something that can be undercut today, I get it. It's hard to change your opinion when it's so deeply ingrained. But, like, this isn't meant to come off as an insult, so I hope you don't take it that way. The way you're engaging with trans people is very similar to the way that, like, racists engage with black people. They have these misconceited beliefs that aren't beliefs based in any evidence-based reality. They're just beliefs that they hold. And you can say, well, I don't hate anyone or dislike anyone. I respect everybody. But it's not respect to tell these people that you don't think they are who they are, that you don't think they should be allowed to use the bathroom that they want to use, that you don't you think that they're a danger. Like, that's not respect.
all right, you brought up a good point. I need to look more into it because I honestly came very unprepared. It was more, I guess, feelings and my general thoughts on this entire topic. But yeah, I appreciate your perspective, my friend. I like
Okay.
you said, like I haven't really researched this a whole lot. This is just shit that I've heard. What was your name again? I'm sorry.
Jovan.
Jovan. All right, Jovan. I don't mean to cut it short, but I mean, I don't really have much else to talk or debate about, but I appreciate your time and letting me come on here and talk for a bit.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, man. Have a good rest of your day, sir.
You too. Hey, thank you all for watching this video. If you don't know me, I'm Jovan Bradley. I'm a leftist content creator who does debates, political commentary, gaming, and more. If this is your first video, thanks for sticking to the end, and I hope you subscribe. I post videos daily, and there are hundreds of past debates on my page for you to enjoy. Thank you to all of my YouTube members. Your continued support helps me create as much as I can. Consider joining. A membership starts at $2.99 and gets you access to our community Discord, early access to videos, and more. Shout out to my Tier 4 members, Zurith Moonpaw, Kazim, Never Again, Ovaltine, Sylvia Snow, Bamji, Emery Emojin, Ayla Ursus, Vel, Kelsey K, Jake Gorshander, Matthew Holloway, Vampy, Yemye, Mealy, and Dragon Nerd. Your continued support goes a long way to me continuing the fight for equity, justice, and education. Thank you again for watching.